So we have finding the roots, zeros, and solutions for quadratic equations.
Root solutions and zeros are all the same thing. The roots, zeros, and solutions of quadratic equation are the points where the graph intercepts the x-axis.
There's 5 ways to find the roots of quadratic equations: factoring, the quadratic formula, square root method, completing the square, and graphing. And then the rest are videos. So the first method of solving for roots of quadratic equations is factoring. And so we can first do that through the GCF. So we'll factor out a 3x, and that'll give us x plus 2 equals 0. And then you just do 3x equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0. So x equals -2 and x equals 0. And then the next one, you have the difference of two squares. And so the square root of 64 is 8, but it's minus 64, so you're going to do x minus 8 and x plus 8 equals 0. And so these have to multiply to equal -64, that's why the signs are different. And so x minus 8 equals 0 and x plus 8 equals 0. So x equals 8 and x equals -8. And the last one is factoring trinomials. And so to do that, you're going to take out a 9 and a 3. So x minus 9 and x minus 3 equals 0. And that's because these two have to multiply to equal positive 27. That's why they both have negative signs, and they have to add up to equal -12. And so then you just do the same thing. So x minus 9 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. And so x equals 9 and x equals 3. So the second method is the quadratic formula. And so this is the formula: negative or opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so to solve that, you do opposite b. So the opposite of 3 is -3. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, which would be 9, minus 4ac, so 4 times 1 times -4. And then you do that out, so -3 plus or minus the square root, and that comes out to be 25 all over 2, because 2 times a is 1, so it's just 2. And then you're going to get -3 plus or minus 5 over 2. And so -3 plus 5 over 2 and -3 minus 5 over 2. And that's going to give you 2 over 2, which equals 1, and -8 over 2, which equals -4. So the third method is the square root method, and this is a simple equation: x squared minus 4 equals 0. So what you're going to do is you're going to add the 4 to the other side, so you get x squared equals 4, and then you square root both sides, and that's going to give you x equals 2, plus or minus 2. And then for the next one, it's x minus 5 squared minus 100 equals 0. So what you're going to do is you're going to do this out, and then you're going to add the 100 to the other side, so it equals 100. And then you're going to square root both sides, and that's going to give you x minus 5 equals plus or minus 10. And then you x equals, you add the 5 to the other side, 5 plus or minus 10. And so x equals 15, x equals -5.
Okay, so this method is completing the square. So pretend you start off with an equation x squared minus 2x minus 1 equals 0. What you want to do first is you want to take this minus 1 and move it to the other side. So you would have x squared minus 2x equals 1. And you want to leave a gap right there where the minus 1 was. So next you want to take the minus 2x, you want to divide it by 2, which would equal negative 1, and then you want to square that, which would equal a plus 1, and then you want to add the plus 1 to the other side. Whatever you do on this side, you need to do on this side. Next, you would factor this right here. So you'd have your two x's, and then you would have a 1 on both sides, because a 1 times a 1 equals a 1. So now, whenever you have right here, you multiply these, and you have a 1x. You multiply these, you have a 1x, and then you need to add those. So since this is a minus 2x, these would both have to be minus 1s. So you'll have a minus 1x and a minus 1x equals minus 2x. And then go ahead and add your two 1s over here. So since you have x minus 1 times x minus 1, that can be simplified to x minus 1 squared. Next, just take the square root of both sides. So you have x minus 1 equals the square root of 2. Next, you want to take that minus 1 and bring it to the other side. So you have x, you will have x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 2. So your answer will be x equals 1 plus the square root of 2, and x equals 1 minus the square root of 2. Okay, so this is how to graph quadratic equations to find the root solutions or zeros, which are the same thing. So pretend you have an equation x squared minus 2x minus 1. What you're going to do, and this is on graphing calculators, you are going to press the y equals button at the top left corner, and you're going to put that equation into the y1 slot. So after you do that, you are going to press trace, which is another one of those white buttons, and it should graph the equation just like it is right here. So next, what you want to do to find the zeros is you want to press second trace, and then you want to go down 1 to 0 and press enter. It is going to say left bound on the bottom of the screen. So what you want to do is bring the little cursor to the left of the first point on the x-axis. So you want to bring it around right here. So once you have it right there, you want to press enter, and you'll see a little line pops up. Then it says right bound on the bottom screen of the screen. So you're going to do the exact same thing just on the right part, right here, right around here. And then another line should pop up. So you have two lines on the left and on the right side. So then you want to press enter. And on the bottom, this coordinate will pop up. For x, it'll show minus 0.414, and for y, it will show 0. Now, you have one of the zeros, or roots, or solutions. You want to find the second one. So for the second one, you just want to press second trace again, and go down to 0, press enter. And then now you want the left of this point on the x-axis. So you want to press enter right around here. And then you want to do it for the right, so right around here. Then once you have two lines, just press enter again. And on the bottom of the screen, it will show you your second root. And those are the two solutions to the quadratic equation.
I just learned something. Very good. Now you know 5 ways. All right. There you go.